Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel where today we are going to be looking at my week 12 NFL power rankings here. And as usual, we have our five same tiers. We have Super Bowl contenders, division contenders, wildcard teams that are just kind of meh, and the bad teams. It was a crazy week of NFL football this past weekend, so let's dig into to see where these teams stand. But before we do so, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It would really mean a lot to me if you guys were to do that. And so, let's go ahead and get started with the Arizona Cardinals, sitting at 6-4 after their bye week. I'm putting them in the division tier mostly because the rest of their division has looked pretty mediocre, while the Cardinals have looked like an above-average football team the entire year, with San Francisco losing, Seattle looking very shaky, and LA looking pretty shaky as well. Arizona is in a pretty darn good spot to be a contender for this division. So, yeah, Arizona up there in division. Another team in division is the Atlanta Falcons, but man, they are falling fast. They're lucky they're in the NFC South because these past 2 weeks have been absolutely brutal, getting blown out by the Denver Broncos. Their offense could not do anything against the Broncos defense, and they gave up 38 points to Bo Nix. Yeah, this team is starting to crash back down to earth. Kirktober is over, but yeah, if it weren't for the Buccaneers having a bunch of injuries and, the Saints and Panthers being absolute dog doo-doo, this team would be in a lot of trouble. But right now, they're still the favorites to win their division, but they're going to be a pretty easy out in the playoffs. Dropping down to division, Baltimore. That was an ugly performance. Oh, my hair is crazy. Against the Pittsburgh Steelers, losing 18 to, was it 16? Something like that. Anyways, they lost to a team that didn't score a single freaking touchdown. That in the Steelers. Their offense looked terrible. The Steelers defense absolutely took them to town. I still have faith in this team that they can be a contender, but the fact that they can't beat the Chiefs or Steelers gives me a lot of doubt heading into for playoff time success for this team. But they're still a very strong team. Heading up against the Chargers next week, which is going to be a very close matchup. But right now, still in division. Moving up to Super Bowl contender tier, Buffalo. They beat Kansas City. They took down the undefeated defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs at home in Buffalo, sitting at 9-2, having a really good start to the year. Josh Allen deserves to be a lot more of of MVP conversations here. And yeah, Buffalo is a very, very strong team right now, and their division is pretty easy. They have that basically locked up now. They did get blown up against Baltimore earlier this year, but they beat Kansas City. This is a team that can hang with anyone, and right now they're up in Super Bowl tier. Carolina, still the same bad team. Have a little bit more hope coming after their bye week here. So, yeah, Carolina definitely on more of the bad side of teams. But we'll see how Bryce Young looks the rest of the way if he can give them a sliver of hope. Chicago, definitely a better performance than the previous couple of weeks, but still, the Bears cannot beat the Packers. Loss on a blocked field goal in a game that, honestly, they outplayed Green Bay. They really did. They had a nice game plan for Caleb Williams with small, short, efficient throws and had a run game going with him as well. Defense still very, very strong. So this team needs to start building up for next season because they're not going to compete this year. They need to start building up for next year, making sure that Caleb gets all the help he needs and that they don't shoot his confidence. Because if you destroy a young quarterback's confidence, that can set them back years in their development. That's what Chicago needs to do. That's what their focus needs to be. So, Bears, meh. Also in meh, Cincinnati. This defense is absolutely atrocious. With the way that Joe Burrow has this offense playing, they should not be 4-7. They shouldn't be. This team should be contending for this division. But instead, they're not even going to make the playoffs with Joe Burrow playing the best football of his dang career because this secondary cannot cover anyone. They let Justin Herbert and the Chargers offense run all over them in that first half, and they could not stop them on the game-winning drive as well. Very, very, very disappointing for the Bengals this year, as they were supposed to be potential contenders, but because of the defense taking a massive, massive step back, they just aren't even going to make the playoffs, which sucks because Burrow is having a fantastic year. Cleveland, what the fracking heck was that, guys? You got blown out by the Saints. You let Taysom Hill score 41 points in fantasy football, which I am very grateful, by the way. I had him in my lineup. What the heck? All I got to say is what the heck. So, yeah, this team is very, very, very bad. And there is no changing that. So, Browns, yeah, you're one of the worst teams in football. But not the worst, because there's a couple somehow worse than you. I don't know how, but they are. Cowboys, they're moving down to bad. Yeah. Did not look good on Monday night. And I hate you for letting Joe Mixon run all over you guys, which cost me both of my matchups in fantasy football. Hate you, Cowboys. But honestly, I'm so happy this has happened to you. It is so nice seeing Cowboys fans squirm. So, yeah, you guys are a bad football team. Up in wild card after a very, very, very convincing win against the Atlanta Falcons is the Denver Broncos. This offense is starting to come alive here. Bo Nix is settling in really, really nicely. They have some good weapons. I mean, Cortland Sutton is having a pretty darn good year. Their defense is fan-freaking-tastic. If the Chiefs weren't as lucky as they are, we would be looking at a 3-team race for that division with Kansas City, Denver, and LA. But where it stands, Broncos are in a very good spot to make the playoffs this year, which I did not expect heading into this NFL season. So good on you, Denver. Detroit, yeah, anytime you score 52 points, you are staying at number one, especially when your closest competitor lost a game. So yeah, Detroit, clear-cut best team in football right now. They are boat racing bad teams. They're beating good teams. Ever since their loss to Tampa Bay, they've looked unstoppable. And honestly, I don't see anyone stopping them this year. I don't. This Lions offense is insane. One of the best offensive lines in football, a two-headed monster running back, a solid quarterback, and some really darn good weapons as well. Yeah, no, this Lions team is dangerous. So, Detroit, yeah, definitely in Super Bowl tier. Staying a wild card is Green Bay, because that was an ugly, ugly performance against the Detroit Lions, but they still managed to get the win. Defense was able to get the stop they needed. Jordan Love did have his trademark interception, but overall had a much more efficient game compared to his previous weeks. This is a team that can be scary, but also a team that can totally crap the bed against anyone. So, but Packers are sitting at 7-3, but are somehow still third in their division, which shows how crazy the NFC North is this year. So yeah, Green Bay still a wild card. Houston division able to get a nice bounce back win against the Cowboys. They kind of needed that after struggling on offense the past few weeks. They needed kind of an inferior opponent to kind of smash a bit in order to gain some footing. Joe Mixon had a great game for them. C.J. Stroud did look a little not great, but overall, good win for the Texans. They should be able to keep their division lead. So right now, Houston is in division. The Colts still in meh, but picked up a much-needed win against the New York Jets. Anthony Richardson came in and looked pretty solid. Got 3 touchdowns on the day. Again, granted, it was against the Jets, who were kind of falling apart in the scenes, but this was a much-needed win for this team, a much-needed win for Richardson to show that he can be the guy. They're still kind of in there for the playoff spot, but I don't think they're going to be there, especially because of how strong the AFC West teams are. But not bad for Indy. Kind of more in like a retool year for them. So, Colts and meh. Jaguars. Yeah, you guys suck. You guys absolutely suck. Gave up 52 points against the Lions. I don't know how Doug Peterson still has a job. Mac Jones is awful. Oh my gosh. You guys are missing Trevor Lawrence so dang bad right now. So yeah, you guys are probably the worst team in football right now. So yeah, bad. Kansas City, still Super Bowl contender. Still, I think, the favorite to come out of the AFC because, they are the Chiefs. They lost a close game against Buffalo in Buffalo. They were bound to lose a game at some point. The luck was going to go the other way at some point. But still, this is a very good football team. Good defense. Mahomes is still Mahomes. They got some weapons going on. DeAndre Hopkins is there now. So, yeah, Chiefs in Super Bowl contender, but are no longer undefeated. Thank goodness. Next up, we got the LA Chargers, who have been impressive as heck this year. I did not expect the Chargers team to look this good. The defense started out really, really strong. The offense took a while to get going, but now Justin Herbert is looking fantastic. Being extremely efficient with the ball, not really turning the ball over that much. Had his way against the Bengals offense. And yeah, this is a team that can be scary in the playoffs because they have played complementary football. They can run the ball. They play good defense. They have a good quarterback. They have some weapons now. And yeah, Chargers in wild card. Next up, we get the LA Rams. Definitely a meh team. Barely escaped with a win against the New England Patriots. But hey, a win's a win. They keep pace in their division. But I just don't have much faith in this team if you can barely beat New England. Next up, we got the Raiders. Yeah, they're not a good football team coming off of their bye week. I think they were on a bye. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to the Raiders because they are that bad. They are a bad football team. So, yeah, bad. Next up, we have the Miami Dolphins, who I don't remember who they played last week, but I think they got a win. Let me double check here real quick. Boo, 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 boo. Let's see here. Sorry, I just gotta look up. Oh, they played the Raiders and won. That's right. Yeah, I still think they're not a great football team. I still think they're kind of on the precipice of bad to meh. I'm keeping them in bad for now because they've had some rough losses. But hey, they play New England next week, and then they have the Jets, the Browns, and Jets again. So they can get around 500 being a mad team again. But right now, still in bad. But this team is definitely on the up and up. Don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. They got in too big of a hole with Tua's injury. But still, very solid team. Minnesota. A bit of a controversial win against the Titans. There's a lot of penalties on Tennessee that were not supposed to be on them. But they still got to win 8-2. Definitely is very, very, I think, shaky 8-2, especially these past few weeks. They kind of escaped some games they should not have won, really. And against better teams, they would have lost these past two games. But hey, you can only play who's in front of you. Currently 8-2 for the Vikings, but still, I think a very solid team. Defense is solid. They got some good weapons. But am getting concerned about Sam Darnold. Am now starting to get concerned about this run game that they're suddenly are lacking. So yeah, Minnesota here in the division. I'm actually going to put them right here because they steamrolled the Texans earlier this year. Patriots, bad, but frisky. They are a very tough team to play. They will play you hard. They will play you tough. Drake May is actually looking like a very good NFL quarterback, so that is a very good sign for them. They need to get to the offseason. They need to add weapons and an offensive line because they need that to have Drake May succeed. Can't do what he did to Mac Jones to Drake May. So that's where they are standing right now. Saints moving up some spots in the bad tier because they absolutely boat raced the Browns, which isn't saying much, but hey, you take a win where you can. Suddenly they've won 2 straight games. Taysom Hill decided to go nuclear. So, yeah, not bad for the Saints there. The Giants, one of the worst teams in football. They bench Daniel Jones for Tommy DeVito. Their infatuation with keeping Daniel Jones has ruined this team in any semblance that they have had to potentially contend. No idea how this team is going to go, what they're going to do. So, yeah, Giants, very, very bad. Jets, another team that's bad. And it's getting even worse because they just fired their genius of a GM, Joe Douglas, for absolutely tanking this roster. Yeah, this team, there's one man to blame for this team state, and that is Aaron Rodgers. We Packers fans tried to warn you guys. We really, really did because Rodgers has been a great quarterback. But the past 3 years in Green Bay, his ego really led to some kind of weird moves by the front office. And now you guys are experiencing it firsthand. You guys place all your trust in him, and it is coming back to bite you in the butt so dang hard. That has cost your head coach and your GM their jobs. And yeah, no, there's nothing really to say about that. So yeah, bad. Next up is Philadelphia, who I am now moving up to Super Bowl contending tier because they shut down the Washington Commanders. Yeah, they did. This is probably the strongest contender in the NFC to Detroit's dominance right now. Their offense is playing really well. The defense is gelling with their rookies, Quinyon Mitchell, who I loved coming out of Toledo. I wish the Packers would have traded up for him because he is really, really good. And Cooper DeJean, who I wish the Packers took as well, but that's beside the point. So, yeah, Philadelphia, very, very strong contender right now up there in Super Bowl. Pittsburgh, they're now at the top of the division for me. Yeah, this defense is legit. They absolutely shut down one of the best offenses in football, and their offense did just enough to get within field goal range for the best kicker in football, Chris Boswell, to get enough points for the Steelers to win. This Steelers team has been very, very impressive. This ain't your 9-8 Mike Tomlin teams anymore. This is back-to-back weeks where they have played a really good opponent and have beaten them. And they beat them their way by smacking you in the mouth with their defense and doing just enough on offense to win the game. You do not want to face this Steelers team. Mike Tomlin is coaching the heck out of them. So, good job. Seattle. I'm still putting them a map. It was a close win against San Fran, but I still just don't trust this team. Like, at all. So, they're inconsistent as heck. But their defense did play well against the San Fran offense. Not really much else to say about Seattle. They're like borderline wild card mad to me. Actually, yeah, let's just put them here in wild card. Same with San Fran. Like, these two teams, I'm confused. I am very, very confused. Because San Francisco has the talent to be good. CMC is back. They should be better on offense, but they really haven't been. They barely squeaked out against Tampa. They lost to Seattle. Defense has been strong, but they gave up a couple of drives at the end of games that could have cost them. And then they're playing the Packers next week where they could potentially face issues against them. And Seattle, well, like I keep saying, they're inconsistent. I don't know what team we're going to get week to week. They got a good team this week. They had a good defense. Geno Smith was able to play solid. But overall, very weird team. So, up there in wild card for me. Tampa, meh. They had their bye week last week, which they desperately needed to get healthy. Mike Evans has a possibility to return this year. So we'll see how they do because Baker Mayfield has playing his butt off for this team. So yeah, meh for Tampa. Tennessee, they're a bad football team, but they should have had a lot closer game against the Vikings because of penalties that were called back against them. Oh my gosh, this bad tier is so big. So yeah, Tennessee is bad, but there's some semblance there of life. So not much else to say. And Washington, I'm dropping down the wild card. Back-to-back losses. Close loss against the Steelers. Lost to the Eagles. Starting to kind of fall apart a little bit offensively. This might be the Cliff Kingsbury special here, but overall still a very successful season for Washington. But hopefully they're able to get back on track after back-to-back losses. So this is my tier list this week. In Super Bowl, we have Detroit, Kansas City, Buffalo, and Philadelphia. Division is Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Minnesota, Houston, Arizona, Atlanta. Wild card, I have Washington, Green Bay, Denver, LA Chargers, San Francisco, Seattle. Meh, I have Tampa Bay, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, LA Rams, Chicago. Bad, I have Miami, Dallas, New Orleans, Carolina, New England, New York Jets, Tennessee, Vegas, New York Giants, Cleveland, and Jacksonville. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and I'll see you again in the next one. Peace.